The year is 2010, and Brooke Fraser is riding high in the charts, #1 with There's Something in the Water, but she's not happy about it. The whole time she's thinking, this song really needs some oboe. Well, 14 years later, she can finally put it right, and she joins us in the studio this morning. Brooke Fraser, hello.
Hey, hello.
Kia
Are you
ora.
bringing that oboe to me today?
Well, I felt like when you listen to a song like that, you just feel like, sure, oboes,
Yeah.
cellos, right?
Ah, absolutely.
Does something in that resonate
the
with you?
windy,
Because when
all the
I
woodwind.
I thought I was just making a joke about that song,
Yeah.
but you certainly kind of responded
I
like
just
it was.
didn't really know where we were going with that, so I was just really excited for the journey. I was in your hands.
Well, I suspect there will be oboes and a bunch of other amazing instruments playing with you. We're so excited that you are back in New Zealand. You are going to be performing at the Spark Arena on June the 22nd with the Auckland Philharmonic Orchestra. So, for a start, how did this come to be? I mean, were you sort of chasing them for years, or have they been chasing you for years, trying to get you to come back to New Zealand?
Look, this is something that I should have found out before I did these interviews because I don't really know. Or from my perspective, my management called me about a year ago, and I've been, I was not in that headspace at all. This was not a thought that had ever occurred to me. And they said, shall we do a concert next year with an orchestra?
Yeah.
And I said, let me think about that. Yes. like one night, and so this is kind of where we've gotten to, and it's really happening. Which for a while, when outlandish ideas like this come to you, like, well, let's tease this out, but not get too attached to it. But then it kind of became more and more serious, and then we announced it, and then we put tickets on sale, and then people started buying them, and I'm like, I guess this is really happening.
Yeah.
So it is really happening. So it's pretty wonderful. I haven't sung these songs in a million years. My children don't know them at all. So I have actually requested lyric screens at the venue because I'm like, I don't. This is because also it's a one-off. So I'm like, I don't get a second chance to do it better the next night. So I have to really.
That's so refreshing that
dial
even
in.
people like you forget your own song words.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I had to Google something the other week when I was like, wait, what's that? Look, and then actually one of the arrangers sent me an MP3 of his orchestration of one of the songs, and it got to the second verse. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. That was so interesting.
Were you like, that's really profound. I can't believe I wrote that.
I was like, that's a very strange way to put that. Okay, past Brooke, I can gel with that. Yeah.
So, but is there a moment though when you've got this abstract idea of cool, like do stuff with an orchestra, and then suddenly they're like, okay, like here's an arrangement, like what do you think? And you're like, I don't know, what do I think? Is that like good?
No, it's been so wonderful. I think because of the way that it works, and we have to prepare things so far in advance. So it's more like I've actually had to decide the song list a long time ago in terms of the order of the songs, because the order of the songs determines kind of what the arrangements, how they need to flow into each
wow.
other.
Yeah.
So if
Like
you've got
the key transitions and everything
yeah,
too.
so there'll still be some the keys, not so much, but more like the feeling. So you don't want to have two very dramatic kind of emotional songs back to back. So kind of bringing the light and shade and the buoyancy and the gravity and kind of trying to get the flow of the night right. And
The gravity, I see what you did there.
Hey, and then these amazing, some of New Zealand's most wonderful composers are working on these arrangements, and that I clearly have no history in orchestral arrangements. So it's honestly also just been such a thrill to work with people who are skilled in an entirely different way, and kind of learn from them and hear about how they think about music and how they build these types of arrangements. Just so amazing. So it's actually really refreshing for me because it's a whole side that I've kind of never seen before.
Well,
So,
we
cool.
are so excited about this gig. Like, I can't wait to go there. And actually, speaking of reworking songs, because you've obviously had to rework a few in this whole concert plan, we actually were reworking a few of our favourite Rhema songs last year, and we
Right.
turned some of the favourite anthems of Rhema into Christmas carols. And we thought
I can't wait.
We thought we'd get your thoughts on one particular song.
Okay.
Yeah, it might sound
I'm
slightly
excited.
familiar. Here we go.
Okay.
Dad is hiding in the loo, 28 degrees, I've sweated through my Christmas dress. I'm a mess, I know there's something I'm forgetting. Oh no, 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 no. There's a turkey in the oven, the turkey's still in the oven.
What are you thinking? Out of 10? Solid
Yeah.
11?
So
20. 20
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that was There's a Turkey in the Oven based on, the stress that you have in New Zealand at Christmas time in the middle of summer trying to cook a turkey.
But also so cute that you guys think 28 degrees is hot. Like, sorry about that.
Have you thought about doing like a Christmas album though? Because that's like now that you're expanding your horizons into other stuff, like it's a thing that people do, surely.
Well, look, I should never say never because I've said never to so many things that have happened.
Yeah.
That have ended up happening. So I eat my words, but that's not something that I'm desirous of this season. Let's just say it that way.
I do have a burning question because I am a huge fan of your album Brutal Romantic. I absolutely love it, and it's very different from all your other stuff.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're performing with the Auckland Philharmonic Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, they were at Symphony doing a bit of EDM and drum and bass.
Cool.
Do you think there's any potential for something like that in the future, something more electronic?
Oh, gosh, you're asking me. I mean, again, it is not something I'm desirous of. Why am I speaking like that? That's so weird.
Well, because everything you say can and will be held against you.
I know, that's the thing. The internet is forever. Look, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. Who knows?
Do you have a favourite song of yours that you've written that, like, something that will always kind of be really close to your heart?
You can edit that out.
No, we're going to keep that. That's going to be on our hotkeys for the rest of our lives.
I think, make it a ringtone. What is that? Or an alarm in the morning? Ooh, that's weird. I don't know. There are so many songs that I've written in my life, and definitely there's specific ones that kind of just carry more of the essence of the season that I was in when I wrote them. So Arithmetic is definitely one of those. Gosh, I was at another place, not as cool as this, and they played some of that song earlier, and I was like, I just sound so young. But I remember when I hear that, because I don't go around listening to my own music, so it's my first time hearing that in a long time, and I think about just who that girl was, and how I feel about her, and kind of what was in store that she didn't know about, but the way she kind of stuck to her convictions. I feel sad for her at some of the things that were going to happen, but I feel really I feel proud of that little gal. So there's a lot of feeling around a lot of this as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned your girls don't know a lot of your songs as well.
No, yeah.
So, like, have you now introduced them to any at all, or are they going to be surprised with everybody else? Like,
they will be completely. They only recently found out about Brooke Fraser. And
no
they think
kidding.
it's
What did they say? Like, how did they?
They were just my husband showed them, I think, the Flags album cover, and they were like, "Who is that?" and And they didn't get it. Like my husband had to tell them. They kept looking. I was like, look a little bit closer, and they couldn't figure it out. And my husband was like, "That's Mummy," and they were like, they thought it was hilarious.
Oh, that's cute. I can relate to that because my girls are 8 and 11.
Yeah.
And as a mum of 2 little girls, it is challenging, right? And you're a working mum. You're a global music artist, and you've got a busy schedule. So what are some of the biggest challenges actually as a mum, like navigating that for you?
Yeah, I think it's just in this season, it's the yeses and the nos, and being really wise and prayerful about what do I say yes to and what do I say no to. So if the question had been, would you like to do a 6-month residency with the orchestra, I would have said I probably can't do that.
Right.
But I can do one night. And so I think for this, I'm really aware of how quickly they're growing. My girls are 6 and 8. So this was, like 3 years ago. It's I'm really aware it does go so quickly. So I suppose in this season, I'm really aware that they are my first ministry. Like they are, it doesn't matter, how many people know my songs or how many streams have happened if my kids don't grow up with me being a present mum. And what am I teaching them with the choices I'm making about what's important and what to value. So some of that is also, it does mean I do say yes to things that take me away, because I also want them to understand a life of possibility, and they come with me as much as possible. But yeah, definitely in this season, it's kind of what are our values as a family, and what are the yeses and nos that mum and dad give, and but also understanding that we all do this together as a family. Yeah, making it a family conversation.
Have they expressed any interest in music or following in mum's footsteps?
Well, they're both actually they're both really musical, and
Cool.
And they both love worship, and so I will say it's so funny. They don't know any of the Brooke Fraser songs, but their theology's fantastic from all the worship we listen to. So it was actually good. We were in the car a few months ago, and there was a song. We had like some random worship playlist on, and one of the songs said something, and my 6-year-old said, "Mummy, can you pause it?" She said, that's actually a bit rude because we don't build the church, God builds the church. And I said, that's my gal. I was like, that's my gal. Like, so their theology's pretty solid, so I feel good about that.
High five.
Yeah.
Mum, you're driving. Oh, sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
That's so awesome. Well, speaking of songs from other artists, is there a particular song that you wish that you'd written that really speaks to you?
Yeah. I don't know. That is a question that comes up, but I don't really feel that way. I don't feel like if I wrote something or I didn't write something that it gives it more or less value or like increases my value in the world or whatever. So there's so many songs I love, but I'm very happy for the people that have written them and grateful that they did. Yeah.
So, I mean, coming back quickly to that thought of, being in the musical industry as well, because we had some questions that came through from some of our listeners as well. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about was advice for other musicians, say, especially say women who are, Christian women as well, who are then in the crossing over into the secular music sphere as well.
Yeah.
Best lessons you've learned or any words of wisdom you'd have for them?
I'd spent the last week I was brought over here by APRA and we had a thing called Song Hub. So basically I got to curate this kind of songwriting camp with a bunch of different songwriters and artists from New Zealand all collaborating together. And one of the things that I was surprised at is how little collaboration there is locally. I would have thought, because we're a smaller country and a smaller community, that there would have been a lot more collaboration. And I was surprised to learn that isn't the case. And so I would say, I think everybody having their own lane is really important, but I think relationship and friendship musically, but also kind of in your own life is really important. I would say, so basically it's a very roundabout way of saying that community is really important and the people that you choose to do life with, and how you are, not just what you're doing in your life, but how you are going about it really matters. And the people that you surround yourself and walk with closely are the people who are going to help you in the long run. And so I kind of was saying we had like a little Q&A with some artists and songwriters earlier in the week, and I kind of said, think about who do you want to be at 80 and work backwards from that. How would you make decisions now as a 21-year-old given who you want to be when you're 40, 60, 80? It sounds very far off, but legacy is like one decision at a time. Yeah.
We have another question from another listener who really wanted us to ask you this, and I think it might be quite deep and profound, but it says, in earlier times, you said you would spend your life on this experiment. Tell us what that experiment is and how's it going?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know what I was referring to because I've said a lot of words in my life. But I think it's probably about bringing art into the world that is hopefully truthful and harnesses beauty to communicate something of truth. And so I get to do that now in this season of my life, and actually a lot of different ways with music, but also in a lot of other ways as well. And it's a pretty great way to spend a life. So I feel extraordinarily grateful, and I'm very aware that I'm thoroughly in the grace zone here.
Well,
Awesome.
look, before you do go then, we've got a couple more questions that are just going to be more of a hot seat kind of format. So we're going to fire them at you.
It's actually a game that we play called the hot seat.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
you just got to give the first thing that comes to mind real quick.
Okay.
All
This
right.
is going to be dangerous, I hope.
I really hope so too. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hot seat with Brooke Fraser starting right now.
Who's the messiest in your house?
My husband.
Rugby or soccer?
Oh, soccer.
Loudest eater?
Loudest what?
Eater.
Eater. Oh, I think it's me.
Chocolate or cheese?
Chocolate.
If you were in an orchestra, what instrument would you play?
Clarinet.
Who's your favourite out of me and Kat?
Who's my favourite aluminium can?
No, me and Kat.
Oh. First equal.
Very, very diplomatic. Hey, thank you so much, Brooke. It has been an immense privilege to have you here in studio with us.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have a favourite aluminium cat, by the way?
My favourite aluminium cat. Whichever is the first one we see after we leave this place.
Well, don't miss your opportunity to see Brooke Fraser playing in Auckland Spark Arena June the 22nd. And of course, tickets are on ticketmaster.co.nz. Brooke, you are a legend. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, guys.